My beloved child, if you have been feeling lost lately, pause right here, because this message may speak to the exact place in your heart that nobody else has been able to understand. Maybe you have been smiling while carrying questions you never say out loud. Maybe you have been moving through your days wondering where your life is going, why certain things feel uncertain, and why the path that once seemed obvious suddenly feels unfamiliar. But listen carefully. Feeling lost does not always mean you have lost your way. Sometimes it means the direction you were following is no longer the direction you are meant to remain in. And that distinction changes everything. You may have arrived here thinking you needed an answer, but perhaps what you need first is clarity about why the confusion appeared. Don't skip, because this message is going to uncover something deeper about this season of your life. Something huge is waiting for you, but before you recognize it, you need to understand why your heart has been asking for a new direction. There is something you may not have noticed yet. The things that once gave you certainty may suddenly feel empty, while the things you once ignored may now keep returning to your thoughts. A dream you buried may be resurfacing. A decision you postponed may keep coming back into your mind. A desire for change may be getting stronger even though you cannot explain where it came from. This can feel uncomfortable because you want a complete map before taking another step. But what if you are not supposed to see the entire road yet? What if you are only being invited to recognize the next step? Archangel Michael's message for you today is not about predicting every detail of your future. It is about courage when the path is unclear, wisdom when choices compete for your attention, and faith when you cannot yet see how everything connects. You are not failing simply because you do not have everything figured out. And you do not need to force an immediate answer just because uncertainty makes you uncomfortable. Sometimes the most important chapter begins after the old direction stops making sense. That is why you may feel like something is shifting, even if you cannot name it yet. Don't skip now. Stay till the end, because the next part will take this message deeper into the hidden reason behind that feeling of being lost. And the surprising possibility that what feels like confusion today may actually be preparing you to recognize an opportunity you would have completely overlooked before. Something huge is waiting for you, but first, you must learn how to see your path differently. What if the feeling you have been calling confusion is actually the beginning of clarity? Think about that for a moment. Sometimes the old direction becomes uncomfortable before the new direction becomes visible. You may feel restless, disconnected, or unusually tired of repeating the same routines, conversations, and expectations, not because your life has no purpose, but because something within you is asking for change. Archangel Michael's message today is a reminder to slow down enough to notice what your heart has been trying to tell you. Don't skip, because there is a deeper reason you may have arrived at this exact message today. Something huge is waiting for you, but it may begin with a realization so simple that you almost overlook it. You do not need to have your entire future figured out before taking one honest step forward. Sometimes the next step appears only after you stop demanding to see the whole staircase. And there may be one particular area of your life where this becomes especially important. Maybe you have been comparing your progress with someone else's. You see people moving forward while you feel stuck in the same place. You see relationships forming, careers developing, dreams becoming real, and you quietly wonder, what about me? But listen carefully. Another person's timing is not evidence that you have been forgotten. Their chapter cannot be used to measure yours. Your journey may require preparation that cannot be seen from the outside. And perhaps the greatest surprise is this. The period you considered unproductive may have been developing qualities you will desperately need for your next chapter: patience, discernment, resilience, self-respect, and the ability to make decisions without needing everyone to understand them. Stay till the end, because later we are going to uncover why the feeling of being behind can sometimes appear right before a major change in perspective. And if this message is reaching something real inside you, share it with someone who may be quietly carrying the same feeling, because sometimes one message arriving at the right moment can give someone enough hope to take their next step. Now listen to this carefully. Being lost does not mean you should immediately grab the first direction that appears. When people feel uncertain, they often rush toward anything that gives them temporary certainty. But Archangel Michael's message is calling you toward discernment, not desperation. Pause before making decisions simply because you want the discomfort of uncertainty to end. Ask yourself what brings lasting peace rather than temporary excitement. Ask what aligns with the person you are becoming rather than the person you used to be. And remember, you can keep moving even when the complete answer has not arrived. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because the next part will reveal why your current uncertainty may be connected to something you have been slowly outgrowing, and once you recognize what that is, you may finally understand why your old path has stopped feeling like home. There is a reason the old version of your life may suddenly feel unfamiliar, and this is where the message becomes much deeper. You may still be surrounded by the same people, places, responsibilities, and routines, yet something inside you keeps whispering, "This cannot be all there is." That feeling does not automatically mean you need to abandon everything or make a dramatic decision. It may simply mean your priorities are changing. The things that once impressed you may no longer satisfy you. The approval you once chased may no longer feel important. The future you once imagined may be changing shape. And perhaps that is why you feel lost. You are standing between who you were and who you are becoming. Don't skip, because this is one of the most important parts of the message. Something huge is waiting for you, but before you can recognize the new direction, you may need to admit that certain old expectations no longer belong in it. Think about what has been quietly draining your attention. Maybe you keep replaying one situation, hoping that somehow it will finally make sense. Maybe you are waiting for someone else to give you the clarity you cannot give yourself. Maybe you keep asking why an opportunity did not work out, why a particular plan changed, or why something you wanted so badly never became what you imagined. But what if the unanswered question is not the destination? What if the lesson is? Archangel Michael's message is inviting you to look beyond the disappointment and ask what it taught you about yourself. You may have discovered what you will no longer tolerate. You may have discovered what truly matters. You may have discovered that peace is more valuable than proving a point. Stay till the end, because there is a revelation coming about why some endings can feel confusing at first but become incredibly clear when you finally see what they made room for. And here is something you need to remember when that feeling of being lost returns: you do not have to solve your entire life tonight. You only need to become honest about the next right step. Maybe that step is resting instead of forcing an answer. Maybe it is beginning something you have postponed. Maybe it is learning a skill, making a responsible decision, setting a healthy boundary, or finally admitting that your current direction no longer reflects your deepest values. There is strength in acknowledging that. Don't skip now. Stay till the end, because we are moving closer to the part of this message where the confusion begins to reveal its purpose. Something huge may be waiting beyond the uncertainty, but the first sign may not be an external event at all. It may be the sudden peace you feel when you finally stop pretending that the old path is still the right one. Something is beginning to make sense now, because the feeling of being lost can sometimes appear when your inner compass is changing direction. You may have spent a long time trying to make one particular plan work, trying to understand one particular person, or trying to reach one particular destination. But perhaps you are finally realizing that forcing something to remain the same does not make it right for your future. Archangel Michael's message today is asking you to pay attention to what consistently brings clarity, peace, growth, and purpose. Not every exciting opportunity is meant for you, and not every unfamiliar path should be rejected simply because it feels new. Discernment means slowing down enough to recognize the difference. Don't skip, because the next revelation goes deeper. Something huge is waiting for you, but it may begin with a choice that looks incredibly ordinary from the outside and becomes life-changing only because of what it sets in motion. You may soon find yourself at a crossroads where two directions appear possible. One may feel familiar because you already know what to expect. The other may feel uncertain because it asks you to grow beyond what you have known. This is where you must be careful not to confuse comfort with calling. Comfort can keep you in the same place simply because it is familiar. Growth can feel uncomfortable simply because it is new. That does not mean every uncomfortable choice is automatically correct. It means you must examine the reason behind your hesitation. Is it genuine wisdom telling you to pause, or is it simply fear of change? Stay till the end, because understanding that difference could save you from making a decision based only on temporary emotion. And if this message has given you a new perspective, share it with someone who may need to hear that feeling lost does not mean their story is finished. Sometimes the person who thinks they are falling behind is actually standing at the beginning of a completely different chapter. Now listen carefully, because this is where the message turns toward your future. You do not need to know exactly where the road ends before you take the next responsible step. You need enough courage to move when clarity comes, enough patience to wait when clarity has not come, and enough wisdom to recognize the difference. Something huge is waiting for you, but it may arrive through an unexpected opportunity, a new idea, a conversation that changes your perspective, or simply the realization that you are ready to stop repeating something that no longer serves your growth. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because the next part will reveal why the very thing you have been calling being lost may actually be evidence that you are becoming more aware of what you truly want. And once that awareness becomes clear, your next move may become much easier to recognize. There is a moment in every uncertain season when you stop asking, "Why am I here?" and begin asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" That shift may seem small, but it can completely change the way you see your life. Maybe the road has not become unclear because you are failing. Maybe it has become unclear because you are no longer meant to walk it the same way. Archangel Michael's message today is asking you to pay attention to the lessons hidden inside your uncertainty. What has this season revealed about your priorities? What has it shown you about the people you trust, the choices you make, and the kind of future you genuinely want? Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you on the other side of this realization. And the surprising part is that you may not need a completely new life. You may simply need the courage to stop carrying what no longer belongs in the life you are building. Think about the things you have been trying to force. Maybe you have been forcing yourself to stay motivated when you actually needed rest. Maybe you have been forcing a connection to make sense when the reality has already become clear. Maybe you have been forcing an old dream to remain exactly the same, even though your heart has grown in a different direction. This is where discernment becomes powerful. You are allowed to change your mind when you gain new understanding. You are allowed to outgrow an expectation. You are allowed to choose a path that would have surprised the person you were a year ago. Stay till the end, because there is an important revelation ahead. Sometimes clarity does not arrive because you discover something new, it arrives because you finally stop ignoring something you already knew. And when that realization comes, it can feel almost shocking because you may suddenly understand why certain situations never gave you the peace you kept searching for. So do not rush to label this season as a failure. You are learning. You are adjusting. You are becoming more intentional about where your energy goes. And perhaps the next chapter will require exactly that maturity. Something huge is waiting for you, but your job is not to chase every possibility simply because you feel uncertain. Your job is to remain attentive and make choices that respect your values, your peace, and your future. Don't skip now. Stay till the end, because the next part will take you into the moment when uncertainty begins turning into direction, and you may discover that the answer you have been waiting for was never as far away as you imagined. Sometimes the path becomes visible only after you take your attention away from the wrong road. Something is shifting now, and you may recognize it by the way your heart reacts to things that once controlled your attention. You are beginning to notice what gives you peace and what quietly takes it away. You are becoming more careful about where you place your time, your trust, and your energy. That is not you becoming distant, that is you becoming discerning. Archangel Michael's message for you today is to stop believing that every unanswered question must be solved immediately. Some answers become visible only after you stop chasing them. Don't skip, because this is where the message becomes surprisingly personal. Something huge is waiting for you, but before you can recognize it, you may need to understand that your next chapter cannot be built entirely around the expectations of your old one. You are allowed to change direction. You are allowed to discover that what once looked perfect for you no longer fits. And you are allowed to move forward without explaining every decision to everyone around you. There may be one particular thought that keeps returning to you. A dream you have almost abandoned. A place you have wanted to explore. A skill you have wanted to learn. A project you keep imagining. A decision you know you need to make. Perhaps you keep telling yourself, later. But what if that repeated thought is worth examining instead of dismissing? This does not mean every passing idea is a divine instruction or that you must act impulsively. It means you should listen carefully to the patterns in your own life. Sometimes direction begins as a quiet curiosity that refuses to disappear. Stay till the end, because the next revelation is about the difference between an impulse and a genuine direction. An impulse demands immediate action. A genuine direction can survive patience, reflection, preparation, and honest examination. If the idea still matters after you have thought carefully about it, perhaps it deserves a place on your list of possibilities. And here is the part you must remember when the uncertainty returns: you are not required to know the entire destination before you begin walking. Imagine standing in a dark room with a small light in front of you. You may not see the entire road, but you can still see enough to take the next step. Your life can work the same way. One responsible decision can lead to another. One new habit can create another opportunity. One honest conversation can reveal information you did not have before. One moment of courage can change the way you see yourself. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because something huge may be closer than you think, not necessarily because everything is already decided, but because your next step can create possibilities that are impossible to see from where you are standing right now. And perhaps this is what Archangel Michael's message is asking from you: stop demanding the whole map, and become brave enough to follow the next clear step. There is a deeper reason you may have felt disconnected from your direction lately, and it has nothing to do with being incapable of moving forward. Sometimes your mind becomes exhausted from trying to predict every possible outcome. You analyze conversations, replay decisions, imagine different futures, and keep searching for certainty before you allow yourself to take another step. But certainty is not always available in advance. Archangel Michael's message today is reminding you that wisdom can grow through movement. You do not have to know everything before you begin. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting inside the realization that comes next. Perhaps you have been asking for a complete answer when what you really need is enough clarity to take one honest step. And once you take that step, information appears that could never have appeared while you remained frozen in the same place. Think about how different your life might look if you stopped treating every uncertain moment as a sign that something was wrong. A delayed opportunity does not automatically mean failure. A changed plan does not automatically mean loss. A period of quiet does not automatically mean nothing is happening. Sometimes life becomes quiet because you need space to hear yourself again. And perhaps that is why certain distractions have started losing their appeal. You are becoming more aware of what matters and less impressed by what only looks impressive from the outside. Stay till the end, because the next realization is powerful. You may be closer to your direction than you think, but you have been searching for it in the wrong place. Instead of constantly asking, "What should I do?" ask, "What kind of person do I want to become?" The answer to that question can eliminate more confusion than you realize. And now, imagine that you suddenly receive an opportunity you once thought you wanted. Would the current version of you accept it immediately? Maybe not. And that is important. Growth changes your standards. You may now recognize that something can look attractive and still not be right for you. You may understand that attention is not the same as respect, speed is not the same as progress, and excitement is not the same as alignment. Something huge is waiting for you, but you need discernment to recognize it when it appears. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because the next part will take you into the moment when the feeling of being lost begins transforming into something much stronger. A quiet certainty that you do not need to return to the person you were simply because you are unsure about who you are becoming. Your future may still be unclear, but your standards, your wisdom, and your understanding of yourself can become clearer, and that clarity can become the first real sign that you are finding your way. A quiet breakthrough may already be happening, and you could miss it if you only look for something dramatic. Perhaps you are not suddenly seeing the entire path, but you are beginning to recognize what you no longer want to carry. That is progress. You are becoming less willing to sacrifice your peace just to keep something familiar. You are questioning old assumptions. You are noticing patterns you once overlooked. And you are finally realizing that being uncertain about the future does not mean you have to return to the past. Archangel Michael's message today is calling you to recognize this subtle transformation. Don't skip, because something huge may begin with one simple realization. You do not have to know exactly where you are going to know what direction you should stop walking. Sometimes finding your way begins with identifying what repeatedly takes you away from the person you want to become. Now think about the pressure you have placed on yourself to have everything figured out. Maybe you believe you should already know your purpose, your next career move, your relationship direction, or the exact plan for your future. But life rarely reveals everything at once. Sometimes you receive one piece of understanding, then another, until one day you look backward and realize the pieces were connecting all along. Stay till the end, because the next revelation may change the way you think about your current uncertainty. You may not be waiting for your life to begin. You may already be inside the preparation for something you have not yet learned how to recognize. The quiet period may be developing your patience. The unanswered questions may be teaching you discernment. The unexpected changes may be showing you that you can adapt without losing yourself. And the moments when you felt alone in your decisions may be teaching you how to trust your own judgment. So when the next opportunity arrives, do not automatically ask whether it is the perfect answer. Ask whether it deserves careful consideration. Does it align with your values? Does it encourage healthy growth? Does it allow you to remain honest about who you are? Does it bring a sense of grounded peace rather than pressure to become someone else? Something huge is waiting for you, but it may be hidden inside a choice that looks ordinary at first. Don't skip now. Stay till the end, because we are getting closer to the most important revelation in this entire message. The feeling of being lost may not disappear because someone suddenly hands you a map. It may disappear because you finally realize that you are capable of creating direction through your choices. You can take the next step. You can learn along the way. You can adjust when necessary. And you can keep moving without demanding that the entire future reveal itself before you begin. The moment you have been waiting for may not arrive with a loud announcement. It may arrive as a sudden inner knowing that says, I cannot keep living the same way. And that realization can be more powerful than any external sign. You may notice that your tolerance for confusion is decreasing, while your desire for honesty is increasing. You may start choosing peace over unnecessary arguments, purpose over distraction, and meaningful progress over appearances. Archangel Michael's message today is reminding you that finding your direction is not always about discovering one perfect destination. Sometimes it is about becoming clear enough to recognize the next right move. Don't skip, because this is where everything begins connecting. Something huge is waiting for you, but you may first need to stop expecting the answer to arrive exactly the way you imagined. The future can surprise you. And sometimes the greatest opportunity is the one you would never have thought to ask for. There is something else you need to release, the belief that your past decisions permanently determine your future. They do not. You can learn. You can adjust. You can begin again. You can choose differently with the wisdom you have today. Maybe you took a path that did not work. Maybe you trusted the wrong advice. Maybe you delayed something important. Maybe you spent too much time trying to make something fit. That does not mean the story is over. It means you have information now that you did not have before. Stay till the end, because the next realization may be the one that finally removes the weight of regret. You do not need to become the person you were supposed to be according to someone else's expectations. You need to become honest about the person you are becoming now. That person may have different priorities, different boundaries, different dreams, and a completely different understanding of what a meaningful life looks like. And when you finally feel that direction returning, do not expect every question to disappear. You may still have doubts. You may still wonder whether you are making the right choice. That is normal. Courage does not mean having zero uncertainty. Courage means refusing to let uncertainty make every decision for you. Something huge is waiting for you, but perhaps the greatest revelation is that you are no longer as lost as you thought. You have learned what does not work. You have learned what drains you. You have learned what matters. You have learned what kind of future you do not want. Those lessons are a form of direction. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because the final part will bring you to the most important truth of this entire message. You may not need to find yourself at all. You may simply need to stop abandoning yourself every time the path becomes uncertain. And once you stop doing that, the next step becomes easier to see. My beloved child, this is the moment to understand what this entire message has been leading toward. You came here because you felt lost, but perhaps the deeper truth is that you are not lost, you are between directions. The old map no longer feels accurate, while the new one has not been revealed completely. That space can feel uncomfortable, but it can also become the birthplace of your next chapter. Archangel Michael's message today is not asking you to predict what will happen tomorrow. It is asking you to trust the wisdom you have gained from everything you have already experienced. Look at how much you have learned about yourself. You know more clearly what drains you, what strengthens you, what matters to you, and what you can no longer pretend is right for your life. Don't skip this final part, because something huge is waiting inside one realization. Sometimes finding your way does not mean discovering an entirely new road. Sometimes it means finally having the courage to walk away from the road that was never leading where your heart needed to go. So if you are still uncertain after hearing this, do not panic. You do not need to manufacture certainty just to feel comfortable. Give yourself permission to move slowly enough to make wise decisions. If an opportunity appears, examine it. If a new direction keeps returning to your thoughts, explore it responsibly. If something consistently brings confusion and pulls you away from your values, step back and observe it honestly. Let your choices come from clarity rather than pressure. And remember what this message has repeated for a reason. Something huge may be waiting for you, but it does not have to arrive as a dramatic event. It could be the decision to finally begin. It could be the courage to release an outdated expectation. It could be a new connection, a new skill, a new idea, or a completely unexpected possibility that changes what you believe is available to you. Stay till the end, because this is the truth you should carry after the video ends. Your life does not require you to know every answer before you move forward. Sometimes one clear step is enough to reveal the next one. And now, take a breath and look at yourself differently. You are not the same person who started this journey. The uncertainty taught you patience. The waiting taught you endurance. The changes taught you flexibility. The questions taught you discernment. And the moments when you felt completely unsure may have taught you something even more important. You can continue without having every detail guaranteed. That is strength. That is growth. So when tomorrow comes, do not wake up expecting your entire future to suddenly become obvious. Wake up ready to take the next meaningful step. Don't skip the lesson simply because this message is ending. Keep your heart open. Keep your mind clear, and let your decisions reflect the person you are becoming. Archangel Michael's message for you today is ultimately a reminder to keep walking with courage and faith, even when you can only see a little distance ahead. You may have arrived here feeling lost, but you can leave knowing this. You are still moving, you are still learning, and your story is still unfolding. The path ahead does not need to reveal itself all at once. One step can be enough. And sometimes, one step is exactly where a completely new chapter begins. My beloved child, there is one final truth you need to hear before you close this message. You may have been waiting for your direction to appear, when perhaps your direction has been forming through every choice you have made recently. Look at the things you suddenly care about more deeply. Look at the things you no longer want to tolerate. Look at the dreams that keep returning, even after you tried to push them aside. Look at the peace you feel when you imagine certain possibilities and the heaviness that appears when you imagine repeating old patterns. These details matter. They do not mean that every feeling is an instruction, but they can reveal what deserves thoughtful attention. Archangel Michael's message today is asking you to become more observant of your own life. Don't skip, because something huge may be hiding inside a realization you have been overlooking. You may not need a perfect sign to begin moving forward. You may simply need to trust the wisdom you have earned through experience. There is a possibility you have not fully considered yet. What if the chapter you are waiting for does not begin when someone else changes? What if it begins when you stop making your progress dependent on someone else's decision? What if your next level of peace begins when you stop waiting for the perfect apology, the perfect opportunity, the perfect explanation, or the perfect timing? This does not mean becoming impatient or giving up on meaningful hopes. It means taking ownership of what belongs to you. Your choices belong to you. Your preparation belongs to you. Your boundaries belong to you. Your response belongs to you. Stay till the end, because this is where the feeling of being lost begins to transform into something much stronger. You may realize that you have more control over your direction than you believed. You cannot control every circumstance, but you can decide what you will build from the circumstances you have been given. And that decision can change everything. So if you are standing at a crossroads right now, Do not demand that the entire road reveal itself before you move. Ask what the next responsible step is. Then take it. Learn from it. Adjust if necessary. Continue. Something huge may be waiting beyond the uncertainty, but you will not find it by remaining frozen in the same place forever. Don't skip. Stay till the end, because this is the sentence I want you to remember whenever that old feeling returns: being lost is not the same as being without direction. Sometimes you are simply being invited to stop following an old map. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to discover a future that looks completely different from what you once imagined. And when you finally look back, you may realize that the season you called confusion was quietly teaching you how to recognize yourself again. You were never required to know the entire journey. You only needed enough courage to take the next step, and now, you are ready to take it.